Madam Chair.
Welcome to our special call meeting. It is important from time to time that we do something like this. And when we have documents that's due at a certain time, then we may have to call a special meeting so we can get our work done and that's why we're here. We have several items that we have to get ready at a certain time. The public will be a part of this meeting through youtube.com, Edgecombe County Public Schools. And at this time, I will declare our February 27, 2026 special call meeting to come to order. At this time, I will ask everyone to stand as we recite our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. You may be seated. Hope everyone has an agenda. We will follow it to the T. Our next item is to approve this agenda. Dr. Bryant, do you have anything that you may need to add or change?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so I need to hear a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the agenda as printed.
Has been moved and properly seconded that we will approve our agenda as printed. Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Thank you very kindly. Item 3, items for information. We do not have any at this meeting. Our consent items, we do not have any at this meeting. So we will start with item 4.B, items for action. And this section will be presented by Dr. Felicia Whitaker.
Good afternoon, Board of Education, Dr. Bryan, everyone here in the room. I am a representative of the Curriculum and Instruction and Student Support Services team, and the purpose today is to talk about some changes we would like to make to our alternative education program here in Edgecombe County Schools. So as you're aware, we currently operate CLA, which is our Connections Learning Academy, and that is the academy where we have students who are in alternative ed who are now receiving their educational services. Currently, CLA operates as a program. The purpose of this meeting is that we would like to apply for CLA to operate as a school, its own separate school, where students are enrolled there, we have teachers assigned there, and as we go along in the presentation, we'll talk about the why behind that. So the purpose of CLA, with CLA, is going to be our non-traditional educational service designed to support our middle and high school students who are having some academic, behavior, or social needs problems where they may need to be taken out of the regular setting and put into the alternative setting. Our key outcomes or offerings, we want to offer these students structured and flexible learning. We want to allow students to be able to come to school and receive the academic credit that they need for promotion or to receive the credits that they need for high school graduation. We're going to provide them with individualized support. That's going to be around behavior, academics, and social emotional. And we also want to make sure that when we have students in the alternative program, we're setting them up for success in the future. So a big part of this program is going to be to offer career and transition prep. We want them to be ready for careers and life outside of school. So our instructional model, what we would like to do is we would like to have 2 educational program options. The first will be what we have now, which is our CLA Connections Academy, where students come to school during the day. They get their daytime instruction, they're completing their coursework, and they're getting personalized support. We want to add a component to that, which will be called the Twilight Academy. This will operate after school hours, where students who cannot come during the regular school day will be able to come for evening classes to recover credits that they've missed to help them progress towards graduation. That's going to increase our graduation rate and also make sure that we're preparing all of our students for success after high school. The outcomes, post-secondary outcomes, again, we want to provide that rigor for students. We don't want it to just be a place where they just come and sit and get, but providing them the rigor that they need with their academic courses. And again, offering those day and evening classes so that students, if they're in middle school, they can get the credits or the grades that they need to be promoted. And if they're in high school, they can earn their diploma. We want to provide them with opportunities to receive industry-recognized certifications and credentials so that they'll be ready for a job once they leave. So for our high school goals, we have some educational and behavior goals for our high school students. Again, one of the main goals for high school is to make sure students have the opportunity to earn credit towards graduation. We find that some of these students have fallen behind in accruing credits, and so we want to make sure that here in this space, we give them the opportunity to gain those credits that they need to graduate. Again, giving them industry certification so that when they leave us, they'll have the opportunity to get a job or career in a trade that will make them productive in society. Post-secondary readiness, some of them may want to go to community college or four-year college, and we want to provide the same opportunity to the students in our alternative programs that we're providing to students in our traditional schools as well. And then we'll have the individualized learning plans. Each student will have a plan based on what their needs are, and we will support that plan academically, behaviorally, and with social and emotional supports. Behavior goals. For our high school students, we want them to learn to be more self-disciplined and responsible because they're getting ready to go out into the real world. So making sure they understand what it looks like to set goals and to work to achieve those goals. We want students to have a good concept of themselves, and we want them to have a place where they feel free and safe to socialize as well. Social emotional growth, again, teaching them skills of self-regulation and how to resolve conflict in a safe way. Middle school goals are similar. For our middle school students who come to our alternative school, we would like to make sure that they're ready for the next grade level. So we will provide them with the instruction that they need, remediation and intervention to set them up to be promoted so that they too can stay on track and be ready for graduation. They will receive core content and mastery. We're going to provide them with their ELA, math, science, all of the content instruction that they would get in the traditional school. And again, with our middle school students, they too will have those instructionalized or individualized instruction plans where we will provide the support they need with instruction and behavior. Behavior goals for middle school, again, regulating their emotions, understanding how to resolve conflict safely and effectively. Also attendance. We're finding that with some of our middle school students, attendance is a big issue. So putting in targeted interventions to make sure that the students are coming to school. And what we're finding that for some of our middle school students, that smaller environment at CLA has made the difference to help with some of the attendance issues we've been seeing. Self-discipline and accountability, teaching them how to be accountable for their actions. how to be self-disciplined, how to regulate their emotions, and how to make good decisions. And then a successful reintegration. For students in middle school, they will have the option to go back to their base traditional schools. And one of the goals that we have here is to get them ready and prepared to successfully transition back into their base schools. Student support services. So we understand that with our students that we have in CLA or in alternative education placement, there are a lot of supports that we need to provide for them. So we've talked about the individualized, comprehensive plan of support that each student will have. We're also going to have mental health partnerships. We partner already with local providers who provide our students with therapy, treatment, medication management for those students who are eligible, and we will continue those partnerships as well. Clear behavior expectations, and we're going to monitor progress along the way. We're not going to have students to enter the school and then they stay, and we're not monitoring to see whether or not they're going academically, whether or not they're meeting their behavior goals. It's going to be very important that as a team, we monitor the success of our students. Eligibility criteria. How will students be eligible to attend the school? We're going to look at academics. Are they underperforming for our middle school students? Are they lacking credits for high school students? We're also going to look at behavior and attendance concerns. Have they had several out-of-school suspensions? Have they had issues in school that has prevented them from being successful as well as other students? We'll look at their social emotional needs. We'll also take recommendations from our school staff. This will be our administrators, counselors, our intervention teams. They can make recommendations as well. Students where the IEP team has decided this is a good placement or an appropriate placement for this student. And we'll also take into consideration student parent guardian requests. So the referral process. So there's going to be a team to decide about whether or not the student can actually attend the school. But we're going to start with student and family choice. So referrals may be initiated by the home school, by district staff, parents, guardians, or the students. We will review each referral. We will talk about the needs of the student in order to determine whether or not the student needs to be placed there. That will be done no matter if it's a student family choice, if it's an administrative placement, but before administrators or schools refer students for placement at the alternative school, there are several things they have to do at school. We don't want them to just say, I think alternatives will be a better placement for this student without going through some steps and processes to see whether or not that's the best placement. So in our schools, we're asking principals to make sure they have provided tiered behavior supports academically and behaviorally. So basically what that means is that if a student is struggling with their academics, schools need to make sure they provided Tier 2 support, which is they provided them interventions in math, science, reading, or whatever subjects they're struggling in. And also, what have you done to help them with behavior? Have we put behavior contracts in place? Have we talked with parents? Have we done some things to help mitigate some of those behavior problems that students are having? They have to make sure they've done these things, and it has to be documented. That documentation is going to be really important. And also, there are times when we have students that need to enroll in our alternative program, and they're coming from a non-traditional learning environment. They may have some credit deficiencies, they may be off track for graduation, but also we will look at documentation to decide if that's the best placement for those students. And oftentimes, those are students who may be coming to us from they're in a group home, or they may be coming from a medical facility. Those type students, it will be open for them as well. School accountability. So right now, with our accountability model, the students who attend CLA, their accountability or their EOC performance, EOG performance is tied to their base school. If CLA is its own standalone school, it will have its own accountability model. And what we're proposing is that the alternative school will operate in alignment with the North Carolina's accountability model for alternative schools. So you're aware that North Carolina has an accountability model for schools, but there's a different model for alternative schools, and we are requesting to follow under that model. We're going to measure student success, student performance, growth, and program effectiveness, and alternative indicators. We're going to use state-approved accountability indicators to make sure that the students are growing and that we're meeting proficiency. So the student enrollment plan, it is our goal to enroll at least 100 students. Because according to guidelines, in a school like this, the student-teacher ratio has to be 10 to 1. And in order to meet that ratio, we need 10 teachers at least. So we do note that staffing may be phased in as enrollment grows. So if we find that we have to go above 100 students, we'll always make sure that we include the teachers needed to keep that ratio or that balance. So starting this year, we may start on a smaller scale. The goal is to have 100 students, but we may not start with 100. One of the things that we would like for you all to keep in mind is that we're trying to phase this in with the year 1 and the year 2, which I'll talk about later in the presentation. So year 1, we won't necessarily have that 100 students, but that is the overall goal. So here's our staffing. So we're asking for a principal or facilitator, daytime facilitator, a Twilight Academy facilitator, and that person will be there in the evenings to support and make sure students are logging into their courses and that they're doing the coursework that they need to obtain their credits. We would like a guidance counselor to help provide the SEL and behavior support, an EC teacher to provide make sure IEPs are being followed, the goals and the IEPs are being followed, and students are receiving their exceptional services. And of course, we need content teachers for our middle and our high school in all of our content areas: English, science, math, and social studies. We would also like to hopefully get to the point where we will have a physical education teacher so that students can have that physical activity. One CTE teacher, which will help us when we're talking about getting the career technical credits and those credentials. And another elective teacher. It could be art or music or another elective that students may be interested in taking. As far as our classified staff, we will need 1 EC teacher assistant, 2 Twilight Academy tutors, and those will be the tutors who will work in the evening along with the facilitator to help those students who are coming for evening classes, a custodian, and 4 bus drivers. Because if it's to be a school, they have to have their own buses, and we need those bus drivers to travel across the district to pick up the students who will be enrolled there. We would also like to have a resource officer, and we may need 2 additional teachers, 2 to 3 additional teachers as we move increase in our enrollment. So year 1 focus, as I said earlier, this is a lofty goal, and we're excited about it, but we sort of want to break the work down into manageable chunks. So for year 1, we're focusing on getting the connections or getting the school up and running. It's already running as a program, but we want to run it as a school, including students enrolled grades 6 through 12, offering those flexible daytime classes. The Twilight Academy, we also want to begin that in our first year. However, we don't want to begin that until the 2nd semester of the first year, around about January. Want to get in, get our feet wet, and then start with our Twilight Academy where we can bring those students who need those evening classes in. And we decided to have evening classes for grades 8 through 12. And the reason we did that is because we have some 8th grade students who are older students. We have 8th grade students who have maybe repeated some grades, and they've ended up now in 8th grade and maybe 15, 16, and they need to transfer to the high school. So offering the evening classes to these students, we give them the opportunity to come in and take some high school classes to give them some credits, some foundational credits, so that they'll have some credits once they transfer into the high school mid-year. And mitigating circumstances and risk. Again, providing personalized instruction and supporting students with their scheduling, their career opportunities, what it is that they want for their futures. Our year 2 focus is going to be heavily centered around getting students prepared for careers and pathways. So in year 2, we would like to partner with the community college, bring some of those classes in, have students taking classes where they will begin to earn some industry credentials and some certifications. So the second part of this is talking about connections, and I have Virtual Academy there because that's what it's currently called now. But I want you to keep in mind that Connections, our virtual academy, is a part of what we do with Connections Learning Academy. It's not a separate school. It's a part of it. It's just all virtual. But there are some changes that we would like to make to that going into next year as well, and wanted to share that with you. So right now, we have lots of students who are probably about, the last count, we had about 95 students who were enrolled in all virtual classes. That's they're taking their classes at home. They don't come to campus. The only time they come to campus is to take their EOC or EOG test. And what we're finding is that for a lot of those students, that's just not the best placement or optimal placement. As we go through and look at their grades and their work completion, a lot of students aren't completing their work. We're having attendance issues, and a lot of them are struggling. It's because they don't have that face-to-face instruction or that face-to-face teacher that can help them. So moving forward, what we would like to do is the students who are on virtual, all of our students who are on virtual, we would like to require those students to return to in-person learning, to in-face traditional learning beginning next year. We will still keep the virtual option, but we would like for that option to be for students who have severe medical needs, where they may not be able to physically get to school, and for those students who have felonious or severe charges where they can't come onto a school campus. So those are the main 2 groups of students that we would like to keep virtual open for. But there's always, 1 or 2, you may have some different situations where you still may have to look and say, for this student, they may need virtual. But what we want to get away from is having the bulk of our students on virtual without a real need to be virtual, and then they're not being successful. And these are the considerations for placement. If they're not medically fragile, or if they're not have charges against them, we will look at the same type criteria that we do for CLA. If they're underperforming, if they're recommended by the school, behavior issues, IEP team decision, social emotional issues, and student and parent requests, but those will be limited, very limited, because we feel that our students need to be back in face-to-face learning. And again, if students are referred, it will be a district decision, and then we will do periodic reviews. The instructional model for virtual will remain pretty much the same. Students will log on to our educational platform where they will get standards aligned curriculum. There's a pacing, we work with them on pacing. There's a pacing guide to when they need to finish their instruction. We will have oversight of teachers. We do have certified teachers now who provide tutoring and support for students who take virtual classes, and we'll continue with that. We'll look at our data to see how well students are doing and if that's a good placement for them, and we'll build in some supports for them as well. Okay. So with the virtual model, there will still be accountability. Students will have to log in daily. They will continue to get weekly progress reports, which they get those every week now. We will ask teachers to have mandatory conferences. That's something we're not doing now, but we would like to do that moving forward. And of course, a stronger parent-guardian relationship or partnership. Okay, we are happy to answer any questions you may have at this time. Yes, ma'am.
It's a great plan, and I like it. I just have some questions. One is, are we financially able to fund this?
Great question. So that's why we said we were going to break it up in phases, because we're not able to financially fund the 100 students, the 10 teachers right now. So that's why we're saying for year one, we may not be able to support 100 students. But based on what our allotments are and where our budget is, we will determine the students based on that and the teachers based on what we can do fiscally.
And it isn't legal, and I have no idea the answer to this, so it's not a question. I know the answer, and I'm trying to trick you. That if we have that we can share a position from one school to the CLA. I mean, like if we have.
I think we can.
Okay, I'm just thinking. I'm just thinking in my head how we can make things happen. If we have low enrollment here, can we use those teachers?
We can share.
As long as they don't go over their course load.
And then the CTE teacher, if we have multiple interests, how would we kind of work that? You know, it says one CTE teacher, but that could be more than one teacher, I guess, doing like one class.
Yeah, we could have that more than one teacher. Depends on what their certification is.
And what the interest would be of the
But
students.
We're starting off small with
Right.
that one CTE because we do want to have that partnership where they can get some of those community college classes as well. So starting slowly with the one CTE and seeing, again, everything depends on money and how we can move forward. So hopefully we'll get to the point where we can have more than just that one CTE teacher, since a big focus is on career professions.
And I like trying to transition virtual students back to the classroom, particularly if they're not being successful. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't have a question, but the idea of having their own school is very important because basically, I'm just thinking about you all talking. We got kids virtually. You know, basically we got a big problem with that anyway because it's virtually. Who's going to supervise them at home? And alternative means they have some problems. So they need to be supervised all the time. The program looks good. It really does look good, but it's a mountain. And I know you all have thought through it, but I know the important thing is to have the right teachers to work with these students because everybody can't work with students who are at risk. And it's very, you all are very creative. It's really creative, you know, especially in these days. And I can imagine you probably got more than 100 children out here now already. So where are our alternative school students now?
Where are they? They're at CLA. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because that's going to be very important for that. That would be their place. They're more productive when they feel like they are a school rather than just somebody pushed in.
I really do like the structured, organized approach to alternative education that you planned here, rather than a dumping ground for kids that high schools and middle schools don't want. And they never get their needs met. We're not meeting the needs of these kids. We're warehousing and holding cells. I like this. This meets the needs of the kids that we have. One question. If all of the processes I've gone through, there's a kid who doesn't want to go.
So what would we do with the kid who doesn't
Who
want to go?
really needs to go.
So I think we will do the same thing that we do now. I mean, even now, we have students who are recommended for alternative and they don't want to go. And so that's where the team approach comes in. Yeah, that's where we have Dr. Battle and Dr. Dozier and like we meet every week. We have a standing meeting where we're discussing students who are in the alternative program. They're either coming in or they're transitioning out. And so we have those conversations. So having those conversations with students and parents and getting them to understand this may be the best option right now because in this smaller setting, this is what we're going to provide them. Instructional and academic support, behavior support, which will hopefully help them get back on track for graduation and promotion.
This is a win-win situation all the way around.
And that's what they need to feel like they belong.
Your question, Dr. Privet. Under the board policy, even if a parent ultimately disagrees with the team decision to place a student at the alternative learning program,
We missed the last part.
the parent can appeal that decision, I believe.
Okay, she's good about it. Now she's here. Okay, thank you. I do like the program. I like it, and it's a win-win.
And the components you got in here really basically what you need to have in schools anyway. The key to it is it's not a dumping ground. It's a structure. The structure is very, very important because many of the students feel like they're pushed away when they're pulled like that. But I think with the focus on this, the way you have it designed, it makes them feel like this is really school and they really want me here. Not just because I'm bad or I haven't been successful, but because I ran our term school here, and that's one of the most important things is to get kids to feel like they are in a place where people really care about them and they're not separated from the school system. So it sounds real good because the components that you have in here are so important because that's what all students need, but especially these since they've been having difficulties anyway.
Do you have any kids that are currently in the CLA Academy that has done re-entry to the traditional schools?
Yes, ma'am. So we have students who, and there are specific times of the year that we do re-entry. We try to transition them between semesters, or we try to transition them at the end of grading period so that they're just not bouncing back and forth. So yes, throughout the year, we've had students who middle school and high school students who've transitioned back to their base schools, but again, the team gets together and the team consists of the principal of the alternative school, the principal of the base school, teachers, CIS staff, and in some cases parents to decide and let them know, okay, your child has met his or her goals. We think that it would be advantageous for them to go back to their base school.
Some of them probably don't want to go back.
No, we have some who really do not want to go back. They say, hey, I am doing really well here. I like this small environment. I like the structure. I really don't want to go back to my base school. And we try to take it, we don't want to just throw them back. For some students, it may be, we'll ease you back in. So it just depends on what the student's needs are. But yes, ma'am.
Very, very good. Any other questions? I have a couple.
Yes, ma'am.
When you speak of the twilight, I think of real late when you say twilight. Do we have a time frame?
Yes, ma'am. 4 to 6.
4 to
Yes,
6.
ma'am. 4 o'clock p.m. to 6 o'clock p.m.
Okay, that's good. 4 to 6, okay. Now, parental involvement is number one, I would think, when you're developing the plans for each student. Are you successful in having parents rather, to participate in the discussion period? It's not your committee telling, but
Right. So
You need
yes,
to have
currently we do involve parents in decisions when students are referred, but we're going to strengthen and tighten that up. What I didn't put in the presentation, but is present in the application to the state, is that there is an entire section that talks about parental engagement and involvement, and a big chunk of that is bringing parents in and giving them voice in the actual plan that we would like to put in place for students, giving students voice as well. And then we will have progress monitor meetings, sort of kind of like what they do at the early college, where at the early college, they bring their parents in throughout the year to talk about where students are academically and behaviorally. We're going to follow that same model with this as well.
excellent program.
Thank you.
Look forward to the success of it, and you can invite us over sometime.
Yes, ma'am, we
For
will.
some of the activities or participation in the work that you all are doing now.
We will.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
and I just recognize a few people who worked on this.
I'm willing to do that, Dr. Brown.
Go right ahead.
Thank you. So what I wanted to say is I am up here presenting today as a representative, but this is a heavy load, and I want to say that our entire team worked on this proposal for hours. And I would like for our team members to stand. This Dr. Latasha Dove, who is the Director of Elementary Education, who didn't have a pony in the show, but decided to help us, and we thank her for her expertise as well. Ms. Amy Pierce, who kept us straight with budgeting and finance and some legalities of everything. Mr. Joseph Hayes. Yep, that technology piece and just giving us, Joseph is always a good solid person who's going to tell you, I don't think that's going to work. So we thank Joseph for his input. And Mr. Thomas Holland, who gave us information on the accountability side, what things would look like there, and just logistically and procedurally. Dr. Battle is not here, but she was instrumental with the behavior support. And Megan Sykes is not here, but of course she came in with the EC part of it and providing supports for them as well. So thank you for the entire team. And thank you, Dr. Brown, for the opportunity.
Thank you for your work.
You're welcome. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
thank you, and your team. Okay. All right. We will move forward with this first item for action. Our recommendation, we would need to have a motion for the recommendation that we have for the alternative education.
Madam Chair, I make the motion that we move forward with the approval of this application to the State Department.
It's been moved and properly second that we will approve the approval of the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction Alternative Education application. Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. The motion carries. Thank you very kindly.
Madam Chair, is there a timeline that we're looking at with the State Department giving us something?
So the application is due on the 1st. I don't know necessarily know. Thomas, do you, because you were in.
They have to let us know by August,
Okay.
but typically it'll be a little quicker than that. And then we just have to determine the accountability model that we will use based on the alternative school model. So once the school is
I
approved,
was just concerned with
Yeah.
planning for next year.
yeah, we should be fine on that.
And that will come back to the board as well.
That's right. You've all actually approved, you've all actually approved that once before when we were very close to doing this. And we talk about there's 3 different models that accountabilities uses for alternative schools, and we are most likely going to fall under B. So it's already a model, it'll be pretty straightforward, but we'll come back, we'll present that to you, and that you approve that that is the model we use for the school once we know that it is actually, approved and ready to go.
Any other concerns? All right, we'll move forward on the agenda.
Madam Chair, may I take that one, at the retainer?
Yes.
Uh,
4.B.
Yeah, as everybody knows, the board entered into social media lawsuit over a year ago, and there have been some changes with the council that requires your attention and your approval. Ms. Robinson, would you like to add any context to the changes and the board approving that?
Sure. As Dr. Bryan mentioned, you all approved entering into a lawsuit with multiple other school districts, both in North Carolina and around the country. It is structured similar to a class action lawsuit. Litigation, I believe, is happening in Maryland, but that type of lawsuit requires that a local North Carolina attorney also be involved. The local North Carolina attorney who was involved sadly passed away a couple months ago, and the other attorney who worked closely with her on these cases has moved to another law firm. So the proposal before you is simply to update the retainer agreement to substitute the name of the new law firm that we recommend to move forward with and has been experienced in the matter. And we'll just be approving on your behalf as a North Carolina attorney. There are no other changes to the retainer agreement other than the substitution of the law firm. And just as a reminder, this is a contingent fee retainer agreement. You will not pay any attorney fees unless there's a judgment awarded in this.
Okay. Board members, when you read the document, did you have any other concerns other than the nature? All right, you ready to present the recommendation?
I recommend approval of the changes.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we do the amendment to retainer agreement for social media lawsuit.
Second.
Has been moved and properly seconded that we will approve the amendment to the retainer agreement for the social media lawsuit. Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. The motion carries. Thank you very kindly. Okay, we're continuing on our agenda. Ms. Kent, would you please take us into close?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, I make a motion under the North Carolina Open Meetings Law, Section 143, 318, A1, A3, A6, and A9, amendment to retainer agreement for, to go into closed session to consider personnel matters, to consult with the attorney to preserve attorney-client privileged information, to prevent the disclosure of student records rendered confidential under the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, 20 U.S.C. 1232G, and the disclosure of personnel records rendered confidential under GS 115C 319 through 321, and to discuss and take action regarding plans to protect public safety.
Second.
Has been moved and properly seconded that we'll go into closed session. Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very kindly. We will now go into close. Yeah. Our agenda for this special meeting, y'all have a meeting, a question? Oh, okay. All right. We need to have a motion to approve our personnel management.
Madam Chair, we'll do about personnel management.
Second. It has been moved and properly seconded that we will approve our personnel management. Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same sign. The motion carries. Thank you very kindly. Now, I need a motion to adjourn this meeting.
So move, Madam Chair.
Second.
Has been moved and properly seconded that we will adjourn our special call meeting. Any other discussion? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. The meeting is adjourned.